Revelation 4974. From the 27th of September 1950. God's will. Wisdom. Wrong will of man. I am the Lord of heaven and earth, and the powers of light and darkness must be subject to my will, even though the latter rebel against me and want to disobey me. But only then can they carry out their will when I give my consent to do so, otherwise they lack the strength because they are not yet free creatures. However, once they have entered my will, they will also be aware of being able to act according to their own will without being prevented from doing so, for then their will also be mine and they will be powerful through my strength. I alone determine and govern the spiritual and earthly world through my will. But the fact that I gave the human being free will does not mean that this will can oppose mine, that it could annul it or render it ineffective regardless of my will, although I very often let my will become active in accordance with the human being's will. I do not force the human being, nevertheless, he does not determine my rule and activity, he only occasionally causes me to tolerate what is against my will, yet only because my wisdom always finds ways and means to give even the human being's wrong will a beneficial effect. For my expression of will is always based on profound wisdom, whereas the human being often misuses his will because he lacks wisdom and therefore does not recognize the wrongness of his will. For the will be wrongly directed as long as the human being does not seek contact with me, for then his will comply with mine, and wisdom and love will determine its direction. Anyone who submits his will to me cannot help but think and act as is pleasing to me. Then his will moves in my eternal order because he is guided by the Spirit, which only influences the human being in my will, which lets it take effect. As soon as the human being allows himself to be guided by his spirit, his will come into contact with mine, and then he will also be relieved of all responsibility. Then he will have passed the test which is the cause of his embodiment on earth. He has recognized and acknowledged me by submitting his will, thus he has given up all resistance and voluntarily professes me by doing my will, and thereby becomes free from all forms, from the bound state which was the result of the rebellion against me in his own will, which turned away from me and therefore became wretched. Amen.